My name is Thomas, and you're watching Swords to Podcast. Thanks for watching.
Welcome, everybody, to Swords to Podcast. My name is Adam.
And my name is Thomas, and today we're, continuing our conversation that we had a few weeks back about deck building. Today we're kind of taking a different route with it. I guess we can call this pitfalls, pros, cons. We're going to look at a couple of different options when it comes to how to actually build your deck, some of the tools that are available, and like I said, just talk about pros and cons, and and we'll see kind of, our thoughts on each one. I have eight on our list today. Ready to get into this, Adam?
Let's do it.
All right, so the first one on our list, and this is probably going to be the bulk of what we talk about, is going to be EDH-WRECKED. So EDH-WRECK is probably the biggest go-to, wouldn't you say? I mean, out of anything, you think that's where most people probably start their journey.
Yeah,
right?
I think that's kind of the common denominator with a lot of people when they start building decks.
Sure. So I'll go over really quick just all the most of the tools and stuff that are available, and then we'll go into some like the pros and cons with it. So EDH-WRECK, as you guys know, is sort of like a commander database. So it's built for the commander format. It has the database of all the commanders. It has decks and everything. So what it actually does is it collects data from Architect, from Moxfield, and from Scryfall, and it will build percentages. So as you guys have probably seen, you're going to have like synergy for cards. So when you choose a commander, it'll have a bunch of options here. So I'll throw up a screen grab. Just this is from their like FAQ page, their standard one, of all the options at the very top of the page when you first select a commander, right? So you have the name at the top, as long as you're choosing as commander in those 4 boxes in the middle on the top. You got your commander, so you can choose it obviously as commander, as a card in case you're looking at it in the 99, and when you're not looking at non-commander cards, that's where they'll be. Then you can actually go into the decks and then see like the average deck. That's where you get your numbers from. You can store. There's a couple filter options, game changers, the budget one. I've always found that the budget option kind of works, but it's still not like great. And then the biggest thing here is the tags. So the tags are, basically your archetypes. So you can only select one at a time, and it'll just show you the decks with that tag, and then it'll kind of filter your cards that way. Some other options that it has. So this is interesting, Adam. I don't know if you knew about these 2 features that I'm going to talk about. It has a land bases feature, which is not really built for the commander. It's like a standard for the color pairings. So I don't know if you've seen that before on EDH-WRECK.
No, I have not. What do you mean land bases?
Yeah, so I'm going to be completely honest. I don't know how to get to it, but they do have something on their site that says, so it's land bases, and it just shows you like the best, and this is in big air quotes, the best land base, like as a start, like to start with for your color pairing. So let's say you're doing like Boros, it'll show you like the best like Boros land base, like as a baseline outside of like utility lands. So again, I don't know how to get to it, but they do have it, is what they say. It's what I'm being told. They do have it as a feature, which seems pretty decent as a way to start.
Well, that's great that they have it, but does it actually exist?
Dude, it does exist. Look it up. Yeah, look, there's a whole page called land bases. So yeah, we have. Okay, so I guess it shows all the lands you could possibly have in that color pairing. So I'm just gonna what did I say just now? I said Boros. Let's go to Boros.
Okay, so Thomas, if you go up to the top where it says cards, there's a drop-down menu that says land bases, and that's how you get to it.
So that answers the question. Thank you, Adam. Quite the tech expert. So yeah, it actually organizes them. Oh, look at that. It says the names of the lands. So check lands, pain lands. Wow, okay. So I guess it doesn't necessarily show you like a list
That's
of the
pretty
best
slick.
ones to put in. Yeah, that's actually makes it a lot easier than going on Wikipedia.
I guess so. If you're in so if you pick like a color pairing, it shows you the lands based on inclusion. So like the most common land in Azorius decks is Command Tower, which surprises me that only 86% of decks would be playing Command Tower. That is a little shocking.
Are you on
Um,
Azorius? Because it's the same percentage for Boros, 86%.
yeah.
Hmm.
Well, I just grabbed Azorius because Plagon.
Yeah, the first,
But
yeah.
yeah, this is pretty sweet. I didn't know about this.
Yeah, this is nice because a lot of times when I'm like looking up, like for example, a lot of times I'll do it when I'm in a three color pairing. I'll just, if I forget the names of the lands, I'll just go on Wikipedia and find its section on the land on the dual lands page, and that's the easiest way for me to find it. But now this actually really helps.
That's pretty
So
slick.
yeah, so that's an option with land bases. And I guess before we get into that second feature, I'll backtrack a little bit. So one thing that they said on their site is, like I said, they collect their data from Architect, from Moxfield, and they said it takes a few days for these decks to populate. So that's where they kind of build their synergy off of. One thing I want to say before we go on is, Adam, I don't know if you've kind of seen this problem, if you've ever even tried. You build a deck in Moxfield. They have a little disclaimer that says decks that aren't like finished won't show up. So I think you have to have 100 cards in your deck for it to
Hmm.
be shown publicly, like on a search page. But even then, I'll like look up, like when I'm like on my phone and like not signed in, since I know what the name of my deck is, I'll search it up and it just doesn't show up on the list. I don't know if that's just like a me problem. I don't know if you've ever noticed that.
Um, I've never personally done that just because like if I want to look at a deck, I'm just gonna sign in and access it through my page because half the time my deck names aren't creative enough that they're like the only one called that, so it's just easier for me to navigate through my page. But also, I don't really build decks on Moxfield anymore.
Fair enough. Yeah. So that's one thing they said. Like I said, it takes a few days to pull up. And they also mentioned that if you update your deck, it won't duplicate on their site. So that's one thing that
Hmm.
they mentioned as well, which seems good. But let's go into what the actual like synergy stuff means. So if I'm not mistaken, Adam, they changed this calculation somewhat recently. So I have it. You want to go over what it is now and if you remember what it used to be? I don't know if
Well,
you
I don't
remember.
bel I wasn't under the assumption that they changed the calculation. I was under the assumption that they changed the name. Um,
Okay.
it's because it's no longer. So if we go
I think it's
to
still
EDH
called
Reckon,
synergy.
is it?
Oh,
Let's
it's
see.
inclusion now. It's
Inclusion. So
inclusion.
they
I see.
changed changed the name from synergy to inclusion because inclusion actually I think the word better reflects
It,
what the calculation is. So I'm pretty sure if I looked at what you wrote in our script for this episode. I don't believe that's correct. I'm pretty sure
that's what
unless
it had
unless
on
they
their FAQ. That is word for
okay.
word what they said. Yeah.
I was under the assumption that because it is a percentage, as far as the inclusion, it is the number of it's the number of decks that have this card in it
Under that
versus that
commander.
is specifically this commander
Yeah.
divided by the total number of decks in that color pairing or that are eligible to run that deck or run that
Mm.
card. So if it's an Azorius card, like if I'm looking for a card for Plagon, the inclusion for an Azorius, specifically Azorius card, will be the number of Plagon decks that play it divided by the number of Azorius decks that play it or that can play it. Or if
Yes.
it's a white card, it would be all the decks that have white in them at all. So it could be a 5 color deck, could be a 4, all that stuff.
Yeah. Well, so technically, when it comes to like the actual math, it is the same. That's why I found it a little weird that they wrote it that way. The way that they wrote it on their site is the percentage of decks that it's in for that commander minus the percentage for that color identity, which since it's a percentage minus a percentage, it still equates to, a percentage. So I guess it would be the same as doing the number of decks divided by the total decks. But they wrote it as a percentage minus a percentage on their site.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
Um, so that's just, I guess, semantics at that point. But that is how the, I guess we'll call it inclusion now. And by the way, they did, since I did copy it directly, does still say synergy score. So they didn't update that. Interesting.
Huh.
Uh, but yeah, with that, so it is a decent number to go off of, because it will. But my issue with it, and this is kind of the biggest problem with EDH-REC in the first place, is it's really a popularity contest. They push the higher stuff to the front, so you're going to see the stuff that everyone is playing, and in turn it kind of snowballs, because if everyone's using EDH-REC, you're seeing the most popular cards and you're using that, making it more popular.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just the inherent issue with it. And I guess maybe changing it to inclusion helps a little bit, take some of the heat off of them in a way. But other than that, there's not a good way to really fix that system, I would think. But
No, I don't think so. But I think the problem isn't necessarily with the fact that they're pushing popular cards, because most of the time, those vast majority of the time, those cards are popular for a reason.
Yeah.
They're the most played cards because probably they're some of the better cards in the deck. They're some of the cleanest win cons. They're the most effective ramp spells, whatever. But I do like the ability to filter it with the tags. You can do budget stuff. You can look at the decks that are sorted by sort of archetype. So if you're playing a commander and you're playing the commander a specific way, you're going in a very specific direction, you can look at what decks that are in that direction are doing more than what just the overall commander is. Big fan of that. But I think the problem lies in people using only EDH-REC or people using mostly EDH-REC. I think EDH-REC is good after you've built the deck. I know that's not a super common opinion, but also, I've been playing for a very, very long time, and deck building is super fun, and everything that makes deck building quicker, in my opinion, takes the fun out of it. And I get that, sometimes people just want to build a deck, want to flesh it out, want to goldfish it, see if they enjoy playing the deck. Not going to shame you. While I don't use EDH-REC a whole lot, I don't hate people that do, because it's a very, very powerful tool, and I totally understand it. I think the problem comes when people are like, how did I not know about that card? But they only used EDH-REC. So of course you didn't know about that card. It's not a lot of people are playing it, and that's fine. Sure. But me, I love my jank.
And here's my other issue, and I think, Adam, you can definitely relate to this. So let's say, for example, you just listed Azorius as a color pairing. Let's say you have an Azorius deck. You're on EDH-REC. They have a couple sections. They have new cards at the top, like when you scroll down past the commander guide. New cards at the top, high synergy cards, top cards, game changers, everything else.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say you're building an Azorius deck. What card are you almost always going to see in the top cards section of an Azorius
What, Soul
deck?
Ring? Is that what you're going to say?
Not necessarily Soul Ring. But it's like it's a white card that no matter what the deck is, no matter what the deck is doing, you're always going to see.
Swords to Plowshares.
Yeah. Which, it makes sense because, it's removal. People are going to want to put removal in their deck. But, is that really, a top card for the deck? So you're kind of, losing
But do you? I'm looking at Plagon and the top synergy cards. I'm not seeing Swords to Plowshares. I mean,
well, the synergy ones are usually better. The top cards is what I'm thinking.
Oh, yeah, top. What the heck?
It's always there. Swords to Plowshares, Path to Exile, Counterspell. Because I'm just on, what is this? What's the first one I picked? I picked Shorikai. They're all there. Swords to Plowshares is the first top card. Counterspell is third. Path is seventh. It's just, you'll see the same stuff in all of those.
But I mean, that is kind of your meat and potatoes. Hopefully every Azorius deck is going to be running some form of interaction. So, I mean, I totally get where you're coming from. You'd get tired of seeing that card pretty quickly, but it is up there for a reason. And
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, as long as you know what you're reading, and I think it should be more commonly understood what the calculation is. And I'm a huge fan of EDH-REC for changing the terminology from synergy to inclusion. I'm like, that is exactly what needed to be done with that system, because there's really no better way to calculate it to my understanding. So just renaming it to make it that more representative of what the number means, I think that's exactly what they should have done.
Yeah. There's a lot of people out there that are saying, hey, I built a better version of EDH-REC, but there's a reason that they haven't got off the ground. There definitely is, it could be better, but how effective is that really going to be? Especially when you're competing with the biggest one too.
Yeah.
with that, there's one last thing I wanted to talk about with EDH-REC, and I can guarantee that you did not know this was a feature. I didn't know this was a feature. It's called Rex. I actually know how to navigate to this one now. So in the options bar, it's under More. So
Yeah,
it's the
this was
last
I've seen
option.
this.
Okay. It's pretty crazy. So you can either put in a completed deck list or a partial deck list, and it'll give you recommendations based on, it just says data powered recommendations of what you can either, add to the deck to finish it out or, upgrade, which is super, super sweet. I haven't tried it yet, so I don't know how effective it is. But one thing I'm kind of wondering about it, I don't want to take the time to try it now, but let's say, for example, let's go back to what we were just talking about. Let's say you have an Azorius deck. You flesh it out, you leave out Swords to Plowshares, put in the Rex. How much you want to bet that Swords to Plowshares is one of the Rex that it puts in there? I don't know.
I'd bet. I mean, especially if it's using purely data, then yeah, I'd
Then
assume
yeah.
so.
So it's probably just gonna, like, my idea is it probably just recommends cards that are higher inclusion that you're not using. But then it's like if you're using all the highest inclusion, it'll just use like the next one. So I don't know how that model works, but it is still
Hmm.
a sweet feature. So something to try out, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna assume that it's gonna pull all the information from your deck, probably use the cards that are in it to associate it with a tag. I'm gonna guess, and then just roughly compare your deck to the high synergy kind of like or the high inclusion cards, like you said. Um, I don't know what else you could do beyond that as far as using these insights for stuff because I don't know.
I would
Haven't
say
tried it.
AI.
Probably never will. But
Yeah,
it
I would
doesn't. But
say
it would
AI,
say.
but it's
But it would
tough.
say that,
It would, and
right?
that's the thing.
Yeah.
Is like they definitely aren't using that, or else they would.
Hmm.
But then again, we'll talk about this when we get a little bit lower in the list. AI with Magic the Gathering is kind of a question mark right now. It's not great.
Hmm.
Um, Very difficult game to, really get, good with.
30,000 individual unique cards. I mean, it's hard to train a model on that.
All right, with that, we have one last feature of EDH-REC that I wanted to talk about, and this is my favorite one. I actually use this one quite often. This is the combos page. So if we go back to that sample screen with the card, it's going to be right towards the bottom. You got right next to charts. It's right under the card image. So you go to combos, and it's similar. It just shows you some of the most played ones, and they've actually done a really good job of updating this feature so that it gives you more data on like the brackets. So this is kind of, I guess, my favorite part about it. But what it does is it just shows you all the combos that you can use, the cards that are part of it, and it's really great because you go in and it shows you like step by step how the combos work. The only thing I don't love about it is sometimes just at its face before you click into the combo, it won't tell, like there'll be like missing pieces that it won't tell you. Like for example, you'll need this much mana to get it started. Fair enough.
Hmm.
But it'll also say stuff like, oh, you need like an outlet. And it doesn't list that on the combo page, but it says, oh, you need an outlet for this to actually work. And I'm like, well, that is part of the combo. So this isn't really a 2-card combo, is it? It's a 3-card combo. Yes,
Well,
it's with like any card.
I don't necessarily agree with you because I think it's an infinite combo if it results in anything that's infinite, whether that's ETBs or whether that's death triggers, like whatever. You know, just because it doesn't win you the game doesn't mean it's not an infinite combo. You
Well,
know what I mean?
I don't think it always does. I mean, you're right. You're right. That sometimes it's just like, whether it's like infinite taps on taps, infinite ETB, LTB. I don't mean like a payoff. I mean like it'll say like, oh, you need like a creature, like a 1/1 to sack into this or something. Where it's like there's just an extra piece that you're kind of missing. So I guess it's not like, yeah, maybe I misspoke because it's not really a payoff that I'm thinking, but there, I guess it'll just go back to that extra, like the getting started step is kind of what you're
Mm-hmm.
missing at that point. So a lot of times it'll leave that out, which is fine, but it's good. And Adam, I know we've talked about this before. Do you know like the one really annoying thing about the combos thing page when you're doing it on your phone? Do you remember what we were talking about? It was
I
like
feel like you
those.
mentioned it, but I don't use the combos page. So I just come up with my own.
Yeah, so it's super annoying if you're trying to look at combos on your phone because this is the most time when I'm doing it. Like I'll be at work, and of course EDH-REC is blocked by work. So like I'll be on a break and like Like, hey, let me just look at some combos just to kind of see, what's good. You'll be scrolling through the page and it'll constantly just refresh the page. Like it's only this combos
Yeah,
page, dude. Yeah, and it'll just
yeah.
refresh the page and restart units. The most annoying thing. And the second,
EDH-REC be heating up my phone like crazy. Like, dude, I'll be on the pooper and I'll just be like scrolling EDH-REC, and then like my phone will be like 800 degrees, and then it'll refresh. I mean, it okay. Even the combo, or even like the normal EDH-REC page does that. Like, not just the combo page for me.
I
And
think
it'll
it does
just
it
be
like less often, but yeah.
well, it's like
No,
then I have
I've
to
seen
scroll
that.
all the way back down to the utility land spot that I was at. Like, dude, I don't care. I know Soul Ring goes in the deck. Show me the utility lands. Like, EDH-REC. There's no reason. There's no reason for this
The worst
to be
part
that
too
bad.
is it doesn't let you open the combo in a new page. You try and like hold it, like on your phone, you'll hold it
Yeah,
to
there's
try
no
and
way
say
to
open in
shift
a new
click on
tab.
your phone.
You can't do that on EDH-REC. Like, why does it block you from doing that? It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I
That's
don't
what
know.
I'll say.
Like, what's the point? Like, others,
It,
like, there's plenty of other sites that, like, that's a standard thing that you can do. There's no reason for it to not happen. EDH-REC, fix your website, fix your mobile site.
I don't know how they even accomplish that because it works fine on PC
All
too.
right, well, that's gonna be the TikTok
Yeah,
complaining about EDH-REC.
that does it for EDH-REC. It is a great site. Has a couple bugs, you know,
Yeah.
but great tool. Adam, do you want to take us through our next one? I know this is your favorite, so I left this one for just for you.
hmm
So tell us about how to use it a little bit, and then just some of the pros and cons.
So Scryfall is my baby. And the thing that I love about Scryfall is that, let's see, do you have Mana Box on here? No, you do not. Okay. So the thing with Scryfall is I don't know if this was done intentionally, but it seems like the Mana Box advanced search feature on the mobile app was modeled exactly after Scryfall. So practically everything that you can search for on Scryfall, you can do on Mana Box on the go. And I love that. So a lot of what I do, and a lot of this is because EDH-REC sucks on mobile devices. A lot of what I do when I deck build is, use the advanced search feature and then just shovel all the cards into Mana Box, and then maybe I'll take the Mana Box and put that into, and put that into Architect or Moxfield or whatever I'm going to use for the actual deck building. But I'm just getting raw cards to start fleshing out the deck. Getting a certain combo package or a certain creature type that I want or something like that. I love being able to use Scryfall and Mana Box. And so having the Mana Box app be so awesome on my phone makes me want to use Scryfall more, because then it's just a style of locating cards and a style of deck building that I'm super familiar with, no matter if I'm on a computer or if I just have my phone. And I mean, the sky is the limit to what you can search for with Scryfall. I have basically no knowledge when it comes to actually using it. I just go to the advanced search page and I type in the stuff and I check the boxes that I need. You can, card name, text, type line, colors. You can search for just the commander colors, mana cost, mana value, what it's legal in, any sets. The best part, I think, is that you can change whether it's like in this set or this set or this set, or if you can find if it's in this set and this set and this set, you can change the ands and the ors. There's all sorts of like crazy criteria. You can search by price. You can search for artists, which is awesome. If you're a big convention goer, you can find the artist list, type in all the artists that are at the convention and then see what cards you're playing. You can search by flavor text, for Christ's sake.
Yeah, flavor text is the fun one.
I
For
mean,
your bracket ones.
yeah, it's like, I love Scryfall so much, and it really makes it easy to be creative when you're building decks. Like, if you can, my favorite part is that when you type in the Oracle text box, like when you're searching for a specific ability on Scryfall specifically, it says word order doesn't matter. So you might be looking for a card with a certain ability, like maybe you're looking for specifically a 3 mana artifact that makes you a treasure when it enters the battlefield. and draws you a card when it leaves or something like that. Like you're looking for maybe a combo piece or something that would work well specifically with a commander. You can type the gist of what you're going for, and Scryfall is really good at finding that because, like I said, the word order doesn't matter. So yeah, it will give you some garbage that doesn't fit what you need, but it just does. It happens to have all the words that you searched for. But oftentimes you can search through, maybe the 20 or 30 cards that it gives you that don't quite fit what you need and find the card that you need. And that's the best because you don't need to know the name. You don't need to know what color the card is. You just need to, search for exactly what you want. And Scryfall is fantastic at doing that. I think the sky's the limit, and the creativity that you can really get into with Scryfall, finding duplicates and, just finding certain cards that work with things. If you're building a deck and you need death triggers, you just type in when this creature dies. There you go. It's awesome.
All right, so you got through all the pros. Can you think of any cons of Scryfall?
Nope.
I can think of one. The only one is kind of like you kind of mentioned it. You will get a lot of garbage, so you just kind of gotta like sit there and scroll through. There's it is a little time consuming when it comes to Scryfall, and that's obviously the big benefit when we went back and talked about EDH-RECKED, is it does save a lot of time.
Mm-hmm.
But you're going to get a better product in the end. So, that kind of goes with anything in life, right? Where it's like, it's worth it if you put more work into it.
Yeah.
So,
well, and sometimes, I've gone on tangents with Scryfall and Mana Box where I'm looking for a certain thing, and then I find a card that has an ability or a line of text that I didn't know existed, and I'm like, wait, this would be even better. And then suddenly I refine my search to look for more of those, and like it allows you it exposes you to more cards than you would normally expect, and I think that's a huge. I do agree with you, Thomas. It is time consuming, and I think that probably is a downside. But exposing you to cards that you wouldn't have otherwise seen, or just a random draft chaff common that, oh my god, works incredibly with your commander, it might be buried in EDH-RECKED. You might never know about this card unless you accidentally stumbled upon it, which many of the cards I play, that's how I found them.
and I think just since I'm thinking of one more, the only other issue I can find is that it doesn't really always save your searches. If you could save searches, that would be kind of sweet.
Like
Well, sometimes I've had this issue where like when I like go back, it'll take me back to like the search page and just like kind of wipe. Sometimes it won't. Maybe they fix that.
Yeah, that's happened to me on occasion.
Yeah, but there's sometimes when you type in like a lot of like text, like with the and or stuff and like text and all that, and then you just kind of lose it. It's like, oh my god, great, I got to do this shit again. Part of the experience. Part of the experience.
Yeah.
So yeah, Scryfall is amazing. If you guys are willing to spend a little bit more time, definitely start there. With that, let's move on to what is actually, I'm going to say this is probably my favorite, just because it is inherently a lot of fun. So this is Reddit. Reddit for building decks is such an experience. Obviously with Reddit, you have like threads. You can go to ones where they talk about new commanders, talk about the sets, and it's great. So like when something gets spoiled, they'll be like, hey, like what are you guys thinking of this? Read down the thread. People like throw out some cards. It's also built in with, is it with Scryfall where you can do the card name in like the brackets, it'll pull up the card if you click it with the image. And it's really great, and it's also super fun because you'll see some people that have no idea what they're talking about going onto this card, and then people will be like, yo, you're an idiot, what, like are you stupid?
Yeah, you get to interact with the Redditors of the world.
Yeah, which really just increases like the experience there,
the enjoyment.
Yeah, but it is a lot of fun because like I said, you can find like specific threads for cards and spoilers and everything, and Reddit is good because then you'll have people talking about like your basic stuff, but then they'll kind of go in depth and be like, hey, like does this work? And then that's actually what's extra fun is when people are talking about does this combo work, and you'll have two sides of the coin where there's the people that are, since it's Magic, people that are right and correct about how it works, and then people that are just arguing with them and just refusing to admit that they're wrong, and they'll keep going, be like, no, this does work, this is how you do it. They're like, no, like you're an idiot. It's like, no, you're an idiot because you don't see what I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Reddit is a lot of fun. So more often than not, when a new card is spoiled, that's where I go first. I'll go on Reddit and I'll search the card just to see what people are talking about, first thing, because that's kind of before the databases are built for some of these other ones. Like you won't see decks pop up quite yet, or EDH-REC obviously won't have a lot of stuff populated. So Reddit is a good way to kind of jump the gun, I would say, and kind of go down the rabbit hole with that. But I do enjoy it. It's obviously not like a big place to start, but it's like if you're looking for some like really niche things, it's a good place to go because people will try stuff and just throw it out there, and it's a nice little forum there. So I'm a big fan of Reddit. Uh, but obviously the drawback there is, like I said, you might not always get the best information, so you got to be a little bit wary of that.
Mm-hmm.
But it is a lot of fun. So if you guys are in the mood for a laugh, definitely take a look. Take a look there. All right. So our next option here. This is one, Adam. We can take this one together. So do you wanna go through your Discord and tell me which servers you are in for Magic related
Oh my, I'm in a
games?
lot. So I'm in the Doot Loot Discord because I like bling. I'm in the Dead Marshes Discord. I'm in the Swing Lethal Discord. I'm in the Land Go events Discord for CDH events. I'm in the Half Dragon Games Discord, which is a local game store close to me. I'm in the Shout Out Sideboard Therapy game store or Shout Sideboard Therapy Discord. I am in a Too Old to Plane Shift Discord. It's a store that a couple of my a buddy of mine and then his friends operate exclusively through Discord. I am in Plagon's Big Booty Beaches because obviously I play Plagon CDH. I am in Convoke Discord for CDH. I am in Degeneration Next Games Du Bois Discord, another local game store. And of course, I am in the Source to Podcast Discord.
Awesome. Yeah, so for me, obviously, Swords to Podcast, we're in there right now in the studio
In the
recording.
stew.
Shout out to Sideboard Therapy, and then I'm in a few of my local TCG ones. I think I'm in like what 3 or 4, whatever. Yeah, the three that I should be in one more. Am I not? I'm not in the one I go to all the time. I need to join one more Discord, and then some of the other ones are great, like Convoke. I'm in r/CEDH. That's a good one as well. Swing Lethal, and then the two I'm in for like actual deck building stuff is Sliver Hive for Sliver because I still am holding onto a thread that it's good, and then Toph's Metal Bending Force. So these discords are amazing. For one, this is outside of deck building, but for playing, it's always amazing to be able to find people to play games with, especially the CDH stuff makes it really really nice, and especially for finding like events. Your local game store ones are great because they can tell you like when products come in, or when they're doing like limited like events and stuff, try to get signed on to that because you won't always see them on like schedules or on their websites and stuff. So a lot of people have been really shifting to Discord for getting events like put together, which is great. But when it comes to the ones for the actual commanders, so you said Plagon, Toph is probably my biggest one. It's amazing because there's a lot of different categories. It obviously depends on your server, but I think, Adam, you mentioned a bling server, so I'm just looking at the Toph one. There's an entire channel for Toph bling, so it's people just flexing the cards they got for
Mm-hmm.
Toph,
Mm-hmm.
which is great. They can
Plagon
even post
CDH
stuff.
Discord has the same
Yeah,
thing.
they'll post videos like whenever the deck sees play in a video, they'll
Same
have it
here.
there, and then they'll have archetypes. So there's different ones. So for example, for Toph, there's like a CDH artifact build, CDH lands build, Toph in the 99. You have some deck lists, and then card discussion is great because on Discord you have like forums. So you can have like a forum like under this channel for each like specific card, and then threads going down for there. Deck list, tournament discussion, spoilers. Whenever this is the best part I think about these Discords is whenever a new card comes out, they'll throw it in the spoilers discussion and be like, hey, does this work? Is this going to be good? It's similar to Reddit in that sense of the threads, but it's also great because it's a lot of people that are always there. And Reddit is like people in and out, I guess, depending. And threads can die on there, but in Discord they'll generally keep going.
Mm-hmm.
So Adam, do you just talk about like I guess your experience with Discord? How has it been for you? And yeah, I mean anything else to say about Discord?
Um, I'm a big fan of Discord, especially for CDH, just because um, a lot of CDH cards, it's very difficult because like you're playing with 99 cards that are all good, you know, and being able to talk with people who go to tournaments who are playing the deck more often because there's tons of people out there that just have more time than us, and that are able to jam far more CDH games. And so being able to learn from people who are better than you, quite frankly, is just invaluable. Like, so many people in the CDH playing on Discord just um, go crazy at tournaments and um, talk about. I mean, there's guys that will go in there and talk about. I mean, they will put paragraphs on exactly how the tournament went. How their matchups went, what they struggled to do, what they did well, which cards were like the all stars, and that sort of information you just can't really find anywhere else. Um, and also, I don't know if it might be specific to mine, because a lot of the people in the Plague on Discord are really cool, but they're super nice about answering questions. We're talking about cards all the time where you know people feel a certain way about, and there's like inside jokes about like, oh, I'm never cutting this card, or oh, I'm never playing this card, I don't like it. And like there's so much cool discourse on Discord. So I just, especially for CDH, I would heavily, heavily, heavily recommend joining Discord servers. It's just so much awesome information.
Yeah. You always get added to more. Find a lot of cool people. Most people, and it's where you get like your spell table game set up. So if you guys don't have a chance to go out to stores, spell table is amazing for playing. Obviously, I would recommend getting your setup. I got my camera up here. Adam, I know you have yours. It really is just awesome because you can kind of play at any time. Always find people, and then of course, have that discussion because you can even get in calls and people just talk about cards. Like they'll be building decks together and stuff. So it is a lot of fun. Highly recommend to join our Discord and then join the rest after. Us first, then everything else. All right, with that, Adam, you want to take us on to our next topic?
Yeah, this is another one of my favorites, and it is just digging through bulk at your LGS.
Start digging in your bulk, twin.
Start digging in
Shout
your
out
bulk,
Max.
twin.
Max
Shout
the
out Max
Gathering.
Gathering. um, yeah, I mean, so this one is obviously very dependent on where your local game store is, how they set up, what cards you can buy. I mean, there's quite a few local game stores in my hometown that I will frequent. And, a couple of them, they don't have nearly as much bulk. Some of them have more. It really depends on how your LGS is kind of set that up. But I love doing it. Sometimes, when I build a deck, I'll need 10 or 15 commons and uncommons. And my local game store in DuBois, I just show up. They always have everything I need, unless it's obviously, some of the more expensive bulk. Some of that stuff just isn't in the boxes, which is, reasonable. Like, of course, people are going to buy that when it's a $10 card that you can buy for 10 cents. But like finding cards, even if it's just like a bulk rare box that you need a certain bulk rare, sometimes just by going through those cards slowly and reading some of them, you'll be exposed to new cards you haven't seen before. In my specific style of deck building, where I build anywhere from 120 to 150 cards in a deck, and then just sleeve up the first 99 I can get my greedy little paws on. Sometimes when I'm looking for cards, I'll find one that, isn't going to be too bad in the deck. So I'll just, because I don't have the full 99 done, I'll grab that one and then I'll add it to the list. And then, maybe it gets cut, maybe it doesn't, maybe it becomes my favorite card in the deck. Who knows? Just getting exposed to more cards and just seeing all of what's out there, I think is one of the best ways to build a deck. And plus, like, people talk about the best part of Magic is the gathering. And so just showing up to local game stores and supporting them, finding extra ways to do that, and just kind of hanging out with people in Magic shops and hanging out with people that have experience playing. Sometimes you pick up experience while you're looking through cards. Just, getting out there and doing that, I think, is just generically a good thing, whether or not it impacts your decks or not.
Yeah. And one thing I think is super underrated too is, like you kind of mentioned, just putting a card in, I guess temporarily, being able to just play the deck as soon as possible and really start like getting a feel for it and knowing, hey, this stuff is good, this stuff is bad. that's the best part about deck building, because like it can work super well in your head, but it won't play as well. But you won't really know until you actually get to start playing it. So once you have something put together, you can start playing with, and then it'll open up your eyes to like a few things you maybe didn't notice when you were actually going and building it. And that is great. I think when it comes to building with bulk, there's like two ways, or yeah, digging through bulk. There's like two kind of ways that you go about it. One is when you're looking for a specific card, that can be miserable, genuinely miserable. If you're looking for one specific card, you're like, I know I have it. I'm just gonna keep digging it until I find it. Sometimes like if you're and that's the worst, because it's when you're going fast and you could like skip it or something,
Mm-hmm.
and then you go back and you're like, dude, I know this is here. Where was it? It's like, oh, it was at the beginning and I missed it. Great. But then you have digging through bulk, just looking for stuff that could go in, and then you take more time, and you can, like Adam mentioned, see something that you maybe didn't see before, be like, hey, let me try this one, just see how it goes. So bulk is great for that. And then I guess the only question, I guess, before we move on, is when it comes to organizing bulk. I know you do this, Adam. When it comes to organizing, it is so amazing to pull out EDH staples. Even stuff that like isn't necessarily a staple, but you see it and you're like, this could be good in a deck if I build it eventually. Do that. If you see something, you're like, this could be cool. Pull it out, bro. Pull it out, because you're gonna thank yourself later. You really
Mm-hmm.
are.
Yeah. Well, I don't. I've actually strayed away from doing that a little bit. But I do have
Yeah, go get it.
a box of staples, of course. But those are staples that I do not have in my mana box. Those are just staples that I've got like 40 soul rings in there. 60 trillion arcane signets, just stuff that sometimes people need, and sometimes I'll bring it when I'm doing like big trades with people, because if I pull a couple things out of their binder and I need a little bit of extra value, but there's nothing specifically in my binder, that's not a staple. Nobody plays that card. Stop.
I got a page of staples in my binder right here, guys.
Yeah, for those audio listeners, Thomas just showed us a page of 9 commander spheres.
No, but
I've
I do
already
keep my staples though. Like, I got all my boots together, but it's really just not as good. Oh shoot, am I going the wrong way? It's just not as good, like, because like you always need easy access to your commander spheres.
Yeah, so you can just like take that page right out and just throw it straight into the garbage. You don't have to throw them into the garbage one at a time. You can just throw 9 at a time. It's awesome. But like having a box of staples is awesome, especially for trade. Like obviously, it's a little different for me just because I have so many. Like there's no reason for me to have all the soul rings I have. I mean, literally, the other day, I owed somebody some money for a trade, and he's like, "Could I get a couple soul rings?" I'm like, "Dude, you can have 10." He's like, "Really?" I'm like, "Yeah." And I just packed up 10 soul rings in a big in like a big bag, and I'm just like, here, have the soul rings. But like it's super awesome to be able to bring a box of staples, and like if I need a couple extra bucks on trade, I'm like, yo, dude, do you need any more soul rings, or do you need any lightning greaves and stuff like that? But everything else that I have is typically in my mana box. Even my bulk commons and uncommons are all in there, all categorized. They're alphabetized in there. So if my mana box says I have it, I can open the drawer, pull out the A through B, and look at what I need and find it. Which is it took so long to do, but now that I'm like actually keeping up with it, it's so worth it. Like and then anytime sends me a deck list of cards that they want to trade for, I can just pull up the message on my computer and then scroll through my mana box, and like, yeah, super easy.
No, massive shout out to Mana Box, dude. Genuinely the best tool. Actually, because we didn't even have this on the list. Yeah, for deck building, it's amazing because it's like when you're on the go, dude. On the go, you have an idea, throw it on your phone, and then come back and bring it.
It has Scryfall basically built into it.
Yeah,
the best deck building tool. Yeah,
everything about Mana Box we love. It has a trading feature. Oh my god, shout out Mana Box. Love to get sponsored by Mana Box. Mana Box, we love you. Please.
Yeah, Mana Box.
Can
you guys tag Mana Box in the comments? Please sponsor us, dude. We love your app so much.
But all right, with that, we have 3 more. Let's try and bag these out. Adam, take us through deck techs. It'll be a quick one. Like videos.
Yeah, I mean, deck techs and videos are good. It's really interesting to see in depth how someone else builds a deck.
Mm.
I mean, God, I forgot what the commander was, but I watched a deck tech on it recently. Um, Ragost. When I built Ragost, I watched a couple deck techs, and this guy, it was so awesome because he got just hours and hours and hours of gameplay on the deck on spell table, um, and he had like a chart or something, and it was like talking about the cards that you think that are good or that are traps, and like there was so much insight that I would have never gotten on EDH-RECK or on Scryfall or anything, and it definitely influenced my decisions, and I think I built a much better deck because of it. So deck techs, for the same reason as like going in Discord or talking to people in person or just getting games in, it's that experience. The faster you can get that experience and kind of stand on the shoulders of other people, especially when they're possibly more talented or more deeper into the game than you, it's just invaluable.
Especially when it's like their deck that they have honed, hearing them talk about it. We'll actually bundle this in with our next one. So the next one is just looking at like deck lists off like Moxfield, Architect, even top 16 stuff. And the issue with looking at deck lists, so Moxfield is great, and I think Architect should have that as well as primers. Whenever I go
Mm-hmm.
looking at deck lists, I kind of ignore everything that doesn't have a primer, because the entire reason is you look at the primer and that's like them explaining how the deck works and like their philosophy behind it. And that's mostly what I look at, is like I'm not not like I'm gonna go and like copy their deck list, but I just want to see like kind of what they're thinking and what they're focusing on. And a lot of times they'll have descriptions at the bottom saying, hey, like, oh, this date I cut this for this reason, or I added this for this reason, I'm thinking about this, blah blah blah, which is great. But the deck tags are awesome because it'll just be them explaining it. And I love it too on YouTube. Most of the time I'll go and look at shorts, because a lot of times I do like a 1 minute deck tech, which is awesome to just kind of like go over the the big combo pieces, big staples, or like the archetype, and it's super super great. So it is really good just to kind of see some of the options out there, and maybe some things you weren't thinking, like, hey, like I wouldn't have even thought that you could build Toph as a that's a bad example. Build Toph as something that you weren't thinking that it could be
Yeah.
built as. So you'll always run into stuff like that.
Thomas, did you just admit that you're a YouTube Shorts watcher?
Dude, I love YouTube Shorts. No, I love YouTube
Oh,
Shorts. I love YouTube Shorts better than Instagram, because okay, Instagram is funny for a reason I'm not going to say. They're really funny, but like, but YouTube Shorts is so tame. It's so tame, and it's nice because the YouTube Shorts are obviously kind of calibrated to what you watch on YouTube. When Instagram Reels is just complete brain rot, right? So YouTube
mm-hmm.
Shorts will be, I don't want to call it educational. I don't want to call it educational, but it's more like relevant, I guess, to what you're actually interested in, because you can watch like long form YouTube videos, and then the shorts will, be a little bit more tuned to that. So yes, I do like YouTube Shorts. I don't sit there and scroll. I promise. I promise.
You just search for them. I gotcha. Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Well, because like it's super quick, it's easily digestible. It's like I sometimes you just don't have time to watch the long YouTube video.
Thomas has
But
no attention span.
no, not
That's
really,
what we're
not
getting.
really. But yeah, with that, I think we have one more on our list, and I am so excited to talk about how much I hate this.
Oh, okay.
Chat GPT. So Chat GPT came out, and it was not great. It's gotten better, if you can call it that. Obviously AI is in a place, we don't have to go super in depth on this, but AI
I'm
is
gonna
in a
leave and let
place
you
right
talk about
now.
this for a second. I'll be right back.
Okay, AI is in a place right now, right? And I was just kind of sitting around one day, and I'm like, you know what, why don't I just try, just to see what it has for me. So I asked it to build me a deck list. I don't even remember who the commander was. It was genuinely the worst thing that I've ever laid my eyes on. ChatGPT has no idea. Like, let's just ignore like synergy and all that stuff. It has no idea what cards can actually go in the deck. Like, it'll recommend stuff that's not even in the color identity. Be like, yo, this would be so good. And it's like, first of all, this card would not be good. Second of all, you can't. It's not even legal to play in the deck. It's genuinely ridiculous. Like, don't use ChatGPT. Like, it really gives you zero benefit because, like we said earlier, it's like Magic is such a complex game that these models just can't like handle it. You know, ChatGPT is kind of built as like the all around like AI, and it does a lot of cool things. Obviously, don't rely on it for like everything in your life, but certainly don't rely on it for Magic because it's not going to do you any favors. Uh, it was really funny though. So, like I said, for deck lists, it's horrific. It basically gave me cards that weren't even legal. It didn't even give me 100. And the best part is like I'll go back and say, hey, this card isn't oh, that's what it was. I was asked because I had this Zedru deck built for the longest time. I think I mentioned it on the channel that I built it the way that it is. It's kind of like a chaos type of deck, and I'm like, I feel like Zedru is such a unique commander. What else can I do? So I'm like looking online and everyone's building it chaos. So I'm like, dude, I can't even like I'm trying to look for stuff and I can't even think about a unique route to go. So I'm like, let me just see what ChatGPT has to say. So I asked ChatGPT, I'm like, what are just some options that I can do that would be out of the box? And at the beginning, it was great because it said, hey, you could try this, this, this. I'm like, okay, I can see how some of these are really good. Give me like some examples of like some cards and like lists for this route. And that's where everything just fell apart. Genuinely fell apart. Cars that weren't even in the identity, cars that like just didn't do what they were thinking. I think at one point it even gave me cards that didn't even fucking like exist, which was great. So I abandoned that, but it was cool to kind of like get me thinking of different options. So I wouldn't use it for like cards, but just for like deck, I'll call it themes, but like ideas of like, a route that you can go. It was decent for that, so I'll recommend it there. But one thing that was hilarious that I did with it was we were thinking I was at a like a draft or something, and we were like we finished the first round with a ton of time left. We were playing like two-headed giant draft just for fun. Some other guys next to us were playing Dan as just to pass the time before the next round, and we were thinking like there's some really goofy formats out there, like fan made ones, even I'll call it official. Like you have like Canadian Highlander. I couldn't tell you what that means, but it's like they have like their own ban list, and there's like this whole thing where you can only use like certain there's all these weird formats with weird restrictions. So I went and chat GBT and I'm like, you know what? Give me the worst possible format you can concoct for Magic, and it was really funny. It was like, this is the worst thing. Like you can only have 5 cards. You have like 1 life, and it was all these like things that just made the format completely unplayable. Adam, just to catch you up, talking about how ChatGPT was terrible, but then I used
Oh,
it for something really funny to create I asked it, I'm like, make me the worst possible format, like fan like custom format for
did it
Magic,
just
and it
generate
cooked.
Popper?
No, no, it didn't generate Popper. Um,
Probably pretty
it, it
close though, right?
it was worse. Yeah, no,
Is that
okay, to be
possible?
fair. Now listen, to be fair, Popper has merit. Popper's a decent format, okay?
Subscribe if you hate Popper.
You even talked about wanting to build a Popper deck recently. But no. Um it it really was fun. Because it just gave me something complete garbage that you could just never even play. Like it made all these rules like so convoluted that the deck it wasn't even playable. It's like you have to have a card that's like worth 9 mana, but you can only have 5 lands in the deck, so it's like what the fuck? Like, it really cooked. So it was great for that. It's great for like joking around and stuff, but don't use it for actual deck building. It's great for giving you like ideas, but don't ask it for cards,
Hmm.
because it just will completely lose, like just shit its brains and lose itself. So that should round out our list. Adam, do you have any other thoughts on just the deck building tools or process? Anything else that we haven't touched on?
Something weird that I have used a little bit to varying success, and I might as well just throw it out there. Um, so EDH-REC, you obviously have the tags, but something that you can do with the tags is just pick one that doesn't sound right, or pick one that only has like 3 decks, and sometimes you'll find some hidden gems. Like obviously, it's a lot like searching on Scryfall. Like you're gonna be wading through some trash sometimes, but it's just finding weird niche cards and, you know, finding a home for them. One of my favorite things to do. So do more of that.
Yeah. Guys, I guess moral of the story today, there's 2 morals. Number 1, put in the work. It'll be rewarding in the end. Number 2, Mana Box, please.
Yeah, Mana Box, please sponsor us. Please.
Okay. With that, thank you guys so much for tuning in, and we will see you on the next episode.
Yeah, take her easy, guys. See you.